Hello, welcome to this video. Today we're taking a look at my new gemstone asset for Octane. This is the colored gemstone procedural collection for Octane. I was asked to create this assets because many people love Octane and use it for jewelry renderings, and they really liked my collection for Blender cycles, but they kindly reminded me that many people use Octane and not only with Blender. So Octane is quite fashionable for rendering. It's used with many softwares and it was a good idea, so I made this new asset. So let's have a look at some examples. This is the turquoise, obviously. Colored sapphire, yellow, red, ruby, diamond, tourmaline, which is the watermelon tourmaline, pearls, malachite, citrine quartz, smoky quartz, agate, amethyst quartz, agate, sapphire, opal. This one is wonderful. Another hue of tourmaline, obviously yellow to purple, dark opal, sorry. This one is wonderful too. The emerald, and that's about it. So this is all procedural materials, and I'm going to show how to work with the asset for people that are going to buy these assets. All right, so let's go to the software. So this is Octane for Blender. It's free. It's very interesting because the nodes are very high quality. We have many nodes in Octane, so it makes it very interesting, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to explain a couple of things for each stones. The quartz, okay, so obviously the colors I just made the most famous ones, or just to show that the color variation. By example, I did not do the rose quartz or the green quartz, but obviously based on the nodes you can easily change the color and make the quartz the way you want it. Okay, so let's bring the camera over here. So the quartz has cracks and intern flaws. I quite like it pretty much also. And this is the second exception. Geometry on the inside. This one works a bit differently. It means that we have three materials: the base one, which makes the color, then the inner flaws and makes the cracks on the inside, and the secondary colorations, because that's where we can see the saturation variation. Some parts are lighter, more transparent, and some other parts are more colored and not so transparent. Okay, so I made the asset and the materials for the quartz so that we can work with that easily. But the different faces, if I go to edit mode, obviously we don't want to go that much into edit mode for this kind of things, but well, sometimes to get very realistic results we have to. But I made it simple enough so you can recreate the effect in any, if you need an oval quartz, an oval amethyst quartz. Here you can see that by selecting each face, this one is all the outside faces. That's the main material, let's call it like that. Then here we have a couple of faces on the inside that are the flaws that we mainly see. And then the third one, a couple of other faces, which is, so depending on what face gets what material, you're gonna get a type of flow inside your quartz. So you need to create some faces on the inside of your geometry, which is very logical, because in real life quartz has inner cracks, and they're inner cracks. So to recreate that, you need to make inside faces for the cracks. It's really the most optical accurate way to do it. And that's also one of the reasons why my assets, my gemstones assets, are getting this type of success. All right, because I recreate like the minerals like they are in nature, and obviously because I love minerals, and well, I've been working in, well, I'm not totally a gemologist, but I've been teaching gemology for almost 20 years, and we're working with gems a lot each day for the last 20 years. So obviously I know the minerals inside out. I have a microscope for gemstones, so I've been using that with my students, take pictures, working, like I said, with many gemstones. So obviously when you observe and you live surrounded with gemstones for so many years, well, you know them inside out, or you should. Or you really like what you're doing, well, then you really do, and that's my case, right? So that's what I do in 3D for jewelry. It's more than just a boring way to recreate 3D things. I'm a jeweler, I'm a jewelry designer, I know a lot about gemology, and I'm creating that in 3D because it's like expanding my world to the 3D world, and to share that or to sell that because other people need it or ask for it. Mostly professionals, but also just mineral enthusiasts, and they want to be able to play with these assets in their 3D softwares. So then you have the Smoky Quartz also down here. This one I made it a bit darker. It's also further from the light. If you need more light down here, you take the light and move the light closer to here. Here we are. So now the Smoky Quartz is not so dark. Okay, I guess enough for the quartz. So obviously the names are properly set. As we can see, we have geometry here for the inclusions, the carbon points, the cracks, and we have each material for each part of the geometry. Obviously, it's to recreate the real life conditions. The flows are inside the diamond. So if you want to recreate that inside another diamond, just append the inclusions you need and the gemstone you need in your new scene, and apply the materials and put the flaws inside your other gemstone in your proper scene. Okay, so it's really easy to use the inclusions in another scene. Just append them, you'll get the material in your scene, and you can apply it to any gemstone there for your render. Okay, so here we have a quick preview, and we can see the carbon points and the cracks around them, and that makes it really interesting. This diamond has some coloration that goes from yellow, reddish, and bluish. It's very slight to make it obviously slightly colored or gray or more color depending on your diamond. You can make it more yellow, you can make it more gray, you can make it more blue, depending. So we'll go and have a look at the nodes later. First, I want to have a look at the gemstones. So each gemstone has a light near it. So obviously here I have too many lights turned on because I have all these lights turned on. Let's keep just that one. Okay, so here we can see the corundum, sapphire, ruby, colored sapphire. Obviously I will show how easy it's really easy to tweak the stripes or inclusion cracks and the color, obviously, because you might need a more orange or greener sapphire. We all love colored sapphires. All right, then the emerald, which is right here next door, so we can see it has its light. So we can also here we can tweak the color and the inclusions. This one is looks really good, really, but maybe you want it clearer, or on the contrary you want more visible gardens with more white type of cracks on the inside. We'll see how to do that using the nodes. The quartz right here. So obviously I just made the 3 most famous colors, but we could have pink quartz or totally white quartz, crystal quartz, green quartz. So it's very easy to, and there the flaws, they're also on the inside. We have 3 materials for the mineral. It's the best way to recreate also the natural cracks inside the stone. Okay, then the opals and dark opals right there. So here also we have 3 layers. We have the microcrystal inside the opal. That's why it's looking that good. There's a glass layer, which is the opal glass layer, which is the outside layer. There's a second level for other interferences for the color variations, and then we have the material and the geometry for the microcrystals on the inside. So this is a light opal. Let's just turn off. Okay, that's the other light, so we can see better. I really enjoyed creating this opal in Octane. This is a total success for a light white opal. Looks just wonderful. We also have the dark opal, which worked also pretty well. This one is okay. Here it's important to take, in Octane it's sometimes really important to take the camera view, because colors might vary a lot. And reflections. So here we can see better. This one is darker, obviously. It's a dark opal. I made it purple mainly. We can remove that color if we want to and really make it really darker and have the other colors with the opalescence on the inside. I was also very glad to get those colors because it's really close to the real dark opal. All right, then the semi-precious gemstones, Lapis Lazuli, Turquoise, Agate, Malachite, and the pearl, which is right here. So obviously there I also have too many lights turned on. Maybe let's go step by step. Malachite, here we go. So obviously we can change the size of the veins. We'll have a look at that later. The agate, this one is pretty interesting already with color variations. So all the gemstones have color variations. It's part of the asset. Also on the corundum, on the ruby, we can tweak that obviously. So we'll talk about that more a bit later. Okay, the turquoise with the period inclusions and some dirt inclusion. The dirt is a bit here and there, as you can see. So that's very nice. Also a little bump. You can make it stronger if you need. The lapis lazuli also has some white sodalite inclusions and period inclusion here and there. And the pearl has, where's the pearl? Down there, perfect. Here, the pearl has some color variations also, obviously. And that's all for the overview. Okay. So now let's start from the turquoise. Let's go with the view there. And let's go to shading. Well, I will be showing how the asset works because it's the manual for the asset. So, but I can't just show the nodes to everybody because it's for people who buy the asset. So obviously I will be hiding part of the nodes, obviously, but I will be showing what's necessary for correctly tweaking the asset. All right. So obviously won't be, well, you can see it's a glossy material. Wow, what a secret. So now let's go, and it's pretty well. Okay, the colors. Here we have some colors. Here we can tweak. As you can see, I made already some color variations. Maybe you want it a bit greener. Here we go. And maybe you want some darker veins. Here we go. Well, that's too much. A bit dark, lighter. Okay. Or maybe you want this to be a bit more greenish here or whitish here. Okay, so that's where you tweak the colors. All right, depending on your favorite turquoise. Okay, here we can make the contrast vary. All right, that's one part. Then the size of the inclusions. If you want to remove them, just go here and remove them. All right. That's just before the end where we mix the color base with the inclusions right here. Okay. But what I can do is just go to the color of this part of the asset, which is the dirt. Here you can change the color of the dirt. If you want total black, just remove the colors of the dirt and you get total black as an inclusion. On the opposite, if you want just dirt, then go to here just above. Here you can change that part and have more dirt over Okay, now I have more dirt in my inclusion. All right, well, we're good for the turquoise. Now let's go to malachite here. It's just next door. Right, let's go here. So here, mainly, well, the colors, that's where you want to work. But also the size, here you can change the power. You can work on the amount of veins. Those are 1.5, so if we want more, we just go with more. We can also change the position with the offset if you want to move them. And here you can change the type using the omega factor. Here we are. Okay. Then you can change the scale already here also. This is way smaller. This is obviously too small. This is a bit bigger. So obviously you can tweak the size and the position and the look of the veins in your malachite. I don't know how it's pronounced in English. Malachite, malachite. I don't know. Okay, so that's for that. Let's go to the agate. So here we have obviously the colors, and we have two types of colors depending the zones of the agate. So we can work on the saturation here, there. So also for the other part here, I can make it maybe like this and make it lighter or make it darker here. All right, let's move the camera a bit. So, come on, move. Great. So that's for this part of the agate. Pretty nice already. But if you want, you can go and work here on the colors, or you can change the hue directly. So let's go back to more saturation here and there also. So we can see we can change the hue and change the type of agate that we need. Maybe more purplish. Where are you, nodes? Here and there. So it's very easy to tweak that. Let's go. Okay, here maybe, and also lower. Here we go. We have a purple agate. You can also work on the size and omega of these inclusions, okay, and the size here for each side and the different type of inclusions. Okay, so here we go, and then where they mix near the end, here, this is the mixer. So also the scale here and the power of that. So work on the omega factor there and the scale here. Now they're mixed very much because the scale is very small. But if I put it way higher, it's going to grow and change the distribution of the different inclusions, right? So that's really nice to create any type of agate. Let's say I want a bluer one. So let's go and work on the hue here. Oh, this is pretty good. Hello, kitty. She wants to play. There. Well, this looks a bit too much like an opal. Sorry, like a turquoise now. not so bright. Ah, okay. Let's go back to, okay, this type of blue. We'll make it a bit lighter. Saturation here. Okay, here we're going to a nicer blue. And this, not so greenish. Okay, here we are. So that's, I think, nice enough for the agate. All right, now let's go directly to the diamond. On the diamond, there's not much to say. Just append it to your scene and append the flaws where you need. The diamond is more simpler, and like I said, each inclusions there are several, because with its material, and there's not much to tweak. I made the color. Let's go to, okay, the color. So here, like I said, I did put some coloration on the diamond. Obviously it's very slight, but if you want, you can make it stronger or lighter. It won't change much because I made that coloration really discreet, okay? But if you want, you can make it grayer or bluer. If you want just blue, well, let's go for bluer colors here and there. And yeah, let's put more, not that much here. Camera one. There. This one is already slightly bluer or even greener because of this. There. So you can work on the coloration. You want it more gray, remove saturation, and change the colors here to get the color you need for your well, because flawed diamonds or cheaper diamonds have a stronger coloration. Obviously they're not so clean, they're not so white. All right, so now the favorites, because it is, I think, the corundum. Let's go to the sapphires. Sorry, yeah, maybe. All right, camera. Now let's remove some lights. Too many lights. Let's go directly for the ruby. So there, it looks like it's the same color all over the place, which is not the case. Let me just move the camera here. Here we are. And I'm going to show that very quickly. So here, the colors, they're inside groups, so we can't. All right, let's make it stronger. So now, if I want to change the color, here it's based on the hue, it's based on the blues, because that creates a sapphire, all the color sapphires. Then we pass it to a red hue color. If I want more variations on the inside, I can make the scale of the variation smaller or bigger. I'm going to make it smaller. Then I'm going to add more contrast. Yeah, sooner or later. So here I can change. If I start working here, we can see that the color is varying a lot more. So now let's go out of the group again. So let's remove a bit of saturation. So now we can start to see that the hue is changing. We can see the zones. Now about the cracks, we can start removing those we don't want. Maybe this one is too strong for what we want. So we go inside the group and we start changing the strength of this particular inclusion. Okay, so here I can change the strength using the brightness. It's a bit nicer. That's too strong, okay, in this occasion, because it's going to depend a lot on your environment and if it's set in a jewel. Okay, so here we go. And then again, well, working on the color. Maybe I want it redder again. So here. Now, depending the hue I use is going to be yellower or redder. This one is a bit pinker. This is already a bit redder. And also it depends a lot on the orientation. Here we can see the zonings, because I made them smaller, we can see the colored stripes on the inside. Maybe it's too strong again. I made them small here, so I can make them bigger again. And that makes the color variations on the inside. We can see here it's lighter, here it's redder, here it's pinker. Well, also depending on the screen. On my screen, that's how I see it, right? So you can tweak that depending on what you need. So we can put a small bevel on the gemstone here. Some people like to do that. It looks good from time to time. Many people say that you should never do that ever in gemstone, but if you look at gemstones with the microscope, you'll see that the edges might have some rounded parts, so maybe you want to add a small bevel, okay, to your gemstone. I really love the acid for what it does for many minerals. I really love how it handles the corundum, the ruby, the sapphire, the color sapphire. Okay, there's another type of here. There are small dents and there are cracks and stripes. So we are not seeing any cracks yet. Let's go here and let's start working on the strength. So generally it's through the brightness. Okay, here we can see now already, down here we can see more cracks on the inside. Maybe you can see them right now. We can see them. Can you see them? I can see them. Let's go maybe a bit closer. Here you can see the cracks as inclusions. Here you can see them pretty well. So if they're, I'm going to obviously exaggerate now. There we can see them. They're maybe too small. So you can change the scale here. Maybe even bigger. And the coupled part here, maybe also you can change the size there, okay? And depending on what strength you want for the inclusion and the size of your gemstone, here we can see them pretty well. So that's pretty interesting, all right? So also we can make them lighter. So depending on the light you have, the size of the gemstone you're handling, you can change, you can tweak the size of every inclusion. So these are the cracks. And also on the surface, we have, if we want, we can bring in more small dents. So here we're not seeing them much, but let's bring them here. So the gamma, okay, the brightness here. Now you can see them. Obviously they're too strong. This is a very common type of imperfection in corundum. So we can make that stronger using the brightness here and there, and depending the angle and the render you need. And you can also change the size. I mean, these ones might be too big, so I need actually to make the scale bigger to make the flow smaller. Here. I know, actually not correctly. Smaller scale, smaller inclusions. Okay. So this is really nice about the corundum. So if I want them more discreet, I lower the brightness and they start to disappear. So we have stripes, cracks, and dents on the surface. Okay, this is great. We're done with corundum. You've seen how to change the color, tweak the colors, and tweak the inclusions, remove them, add them, make them bigger, make them strong. It's really nice what happens to the corundum using this asset. I really enjoyed making that with Octane. The quality is really high. All right, now the Tourmaline. Let's go have a look here and there. Let's take a camera. So the bump might be too strong. So let's go here and let's make this lighter. So now it's already cleaner on the surface. We can see the typical tubular inclusions in the crystal of Tourmaline and the small dots which go more from left to right or right to left, sideways on the inside. Okay, so obviously depending on your lights and you're gonna see them more or less. Now if you want it totally polished, you just remove the bump, or if you want a more irregular surface, you remove the strength of the bump there. Also the size, maybe they're too small. Let's make them bigger, or even bigger, like this, to change the effect on the surface. This one, so all levels of the bump, which is on the left side in the asset, and here it's already a bit more discreet because the bump became really bigger. Okay, and the colors, it's really easy. We can recognize the band here, which is for the watermelon, but like I said, you can tweak the colors. Maybe you want it more yellowish on this end. This is already really nice, and maybe a bit bluer here on the other end, like this. Okay, so this is really amazing. You get all the flaws and inclusions in your Tourmaline, and it's really easy to tweak the strength of the polish if you want to add the bumps or remove them. There you go. If you want to, and also very important, the Tourmaline is a very special mineral because it has a double refraction index, which is really rare in nature and fantastic. So obviously the asset is recreating the double refraction index of the Tourmaline, and obviously with the correct refraction index. All right. You can obviously tweak the size of the stripes and the zones like I showed already for the other minerals. Now, well, the pearl, maybe let's go have a look at the pearl. Where's the pearl? Okay, let's take a camera. Let's go have a look at the pearl. Here we go. Okay, so the pearl, we can so it has some colorations here and there, and brightness of well, that also really darker, a grayer pearl. And obviously depends on my light, maybe my light, because the light, let's put the power a bit down here. So it also depends a lot on their surroundings. The pearl obviously has a slight bump because, well, the pearl is a lot of microcrystals also. Well, nacre, yeah, crystals, even if it's from organic origin, obviously, in the pearl. So here I removed the colorations, but I can put that if you want. Do you want? Yeah, he wanted. All right, here and there again. We have more coloration. We can that's too saturated, obviously. Pinker in this case. So for the pearl works also really good. And the strength of the sheen, if we can remove it or make it slightly lighter or stronger. I mean, it's at 1, but we can bring it like at 0.4. That's really nice. So I have a darker pearl here. Maybe a more golden pearl. You like golden pearls, maybe you have a golden pearl. So let's work on this here. So it depends on how much saturation you give the pearl. So I made a darker pearl, I made a pinker pearl. Now it's more a golden pearl, depending on what you need. Okay, the opals. So the opal is a special case. It's amazing what we get with the opal here. All right, so let's turn on. Let me just bring maybe this one. Okay, maybe this one a bit stronger. All right, here we go. So we can see the microcrystals and coloration inside the pearl. This is a light pearl and it's working amazingly. We have a bit of geometry on the inside, the microcrystals, the opal glass layer, and a sublayer of colorations. So you can tweak all these colorations at each level. The blue yellow, which is the outside opal glass, the middle colors, as I say, and under microcrystals. But I'm going to work on the dark opal to show the differences, because, well, this is a dark opal. This one is very purple. So maybe I want to change that. So this is the topping, and we have obviously many parts to work on. Let's have a look at who's causing that much yellow, purple. So this one, it ain't. This one it is. So let's go on this one. Okay, here, brightness, let's make it maybe more contrasted, and the hue. Okay, here we're going to work on the hue. This one is already redder, but we can remove this strong coloration here and make the opal a lot less saturated. And depending on how strong you want the contrast to be, you work on the brightness. Okay, if you don't like that level, you can remove it, but obviously you're gonna get a very strong coloration from the inside microcrystals, which are here. And at the outside levels, we have 3 levels, and we still have the middle colors here. So we have 4 levels on the opals to make all the colorations of a real opal. Okay, make this one. So here we can affect the general color. This one is bluer. Okay, this is very nice. This is really nice. Lighter too. So I did make the light opal and the dark opal. Obviously the nodes are very similar, but the dark opal has one layer more to keep the strength of the coloration of the inside microcrystals that are very hard to get, but I made it. So it's really easy to tweak that. This one is way darker. The Lapis Lazuli, it's very similar to, let's go here. So the mixer at the end, if you want to remove the inclusions, and if you don't want any inclusion, you just go with the blue part inside the output, and here we go. Okay, so that the Lapis Lazuli, that it's not so complicated here. This one, it looks very good. But otherwise, just take all the inclusions here. I'll just bring it here so I can plug that inside this part and actualize the view, please. And please to the output. It would be good sometimes to get some material output. So here we go. There I removed this side, so let's put the power at 2 where it was, and we have periods and inclusions there, and we're ready. This one is really easy to tweak. If you want to change the color, maybe you need to go there. There's 2 levels. One is making lighter white and blue, and some others making the dark parts. So maybe you want it a bit lighter. You come here. This is obviously too strong, but depending on your scene, you might want to do that, right? So it's on those levels. You're gonna get that, and we might check the emerald. Let's go on the emerald for a second. I think I'm going to finish on the emerald here. So the coloration, we have 3 layers because of the variations. Okay, we might remove some layers to make it clearer. Also remove the coating and remove the bump. And this is a clear opal. It has some, give me a second. Okay, this is because of the coating here. All right, so now I made a lighter opal with the better polish. Okay, so it's really easy also, depending on how much effects you want. You can remove the coating, you can remove the bump and the effect on the roughness, depending how strong you want the effects. There with more gardens, I can put that. This is obviously too strong, but it's to show how it works. That's pretty nice, maybe at 9. So depending on what you want on your render, what type of emerald you need to recreate, you can tweak every level of the effects for the garden and the clarity of your emerald. Okay, so I think I maybe the quartz. Let's go see the quartz for a second. Okay, so I think I covered all the important aspects of this asset. So it's on the Blender market. It's called Octane Procedural Color Gemstone Collection, something like that. Maybe the order maybe it's called the Color Gemstone Procedural Collection for Octane. It's also available for cycles, but obviously it works a bit differently because the nodes in Octane are not the same than in cycles. So obviously you can ask questions through the Blender market before you, if you still have doubts about some aspects of the of this asset. Well, go ahead, make your questions, and I think it's a really interesting asset for jewelers using Octane, which are more and more each day. So that's actually why they asked me to do this asset and create this asset. I think many minerals are really recreated in a very real looking, realistic level, very good level of realism, to say the same 3 times, but that's to put an emphasis on the fact that I think that I really created a very interesting asset for, well, for jewelers, for professional jewelers, but you can use the asset for characters also, or objects. Might look very good with the turquoise or agate or lapis lazuli material from this collection. And I think you'll be very happy buying and using this asset. That's why I created it, and I really made the effort to make a very high quality asset. If you think something really needs to be made better, well, you can express that also. I also show that we can already tweak a lot of things. So, and I proofed it. I controlled it. I made several tests. I made many tests, and obviously it's going to depend a lot on your scene and your environment, on how the different aspects of every material is going to react, depending your jewel, depending your scene. So many things to take care of. That's why it's also not so easy to get something very good looking, because you need to make it work when where you're going to use it. All right. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope you really will like this asset and buy it. And anything you need, if you need some new assets, anything you need, if you need a new asset to be created, obviously just let me know, and I'll create it for you, obviously, well, with the corresponding fees, because now that's part of my job. But anything you need modeled, or any type of material you need, go ahead. That's why I'm working on this. Great. Enjoy, be nice to people, take care, be well, and see you soon.